about
Oh,
30
yeah.
seconds or something like that. So there we go. Well, if you're joining us, welcome and thank you for joining our live conversation across LinkedIn and YouTube. Today, we're talking about a very exciting project, which is a brand new, groundbreaking initiative, which is designed to give over 50s a pathway into the charity sector. So if you've just joined us, please say hello in the comments and let us know where you're from. By the way, if you're on our YouTube channel, there will be a slight delay in us seeing any comments you might make or questions you might have. So we will answer those ASAP or we will come back to you separately. So let me begin by introducing myself. I am Tiku van Houtem and I head up the board and leadership division here at Charity People. And talking to me today is the brilliant Maya Bhose and Woosh Raza. Charity Interns is Maya's brainchild, and Woosh is the Director of People, Inclusion and Culture at the National Council for Voluntary Organisations. I will ask Maya and Woosh to introduce themselves and give a little bit of a background into their sort of backgrounds, really. So over to you both, Maya.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Tiku, and hello to everyone who's joined us today. So my background, I started out in advertising in ad agencies, and then I moved client side, and I worked in marketing and brand development pretty much all of my career. And a good chunk of that time was for TV companies. So I've worked in entertainment companies in the UK. I've spent some time working in Asia, launching TV channels, persuading people to watch them. So I was one of those people who was literally paid to watch television, a bit of a dream job. And then in my 50s, my role was made redundant. And it gave me a bit of headspace to think about, what did I want to do with the rest of, well, at that point, it was probably another 15 years of my career. Yeah. And I knew I wanted to do something more meaningful. And I decided to switch to the charity sector. And I thought, I've got such great experience, such fantastic skills, it's going to be easy, isn't it? And it was actually the opposite of that. I didn't have any network to help me because all of my network was in the commercial side. I didn't have any previous experience. And eventually I managed it because someone gave me a chance. And then 18 months ago, I took a work break. And since then, it's actually been impossible to get back into the job market. And the only thing that has changed is my age. So I decided that rather than get sad about it, I would hire myself. So that's what I've done. I've given myself a job and I've launched a startup. Charity People are partnering with me and raising awareness in the sector. NCVO is incubating the idea, and I know Woosh is going to talk a bit more about that in a second. That has really opened doors for me to talk to very senior leaders in the charity sector, and I have a great team of advisors supporting me behind the scenes. So I've had a very wiggly career path from agency world to commercial brands to the voluntary sector to being ignored, which is my least favorite part, and then founding a business.
Well, thank you for that, Maya. And I think the sort of common theme, certainly in what you've described, is you've used your transferable skills, to go from, whether it's different sector, from, agency side to client side to, tech to broadcast, you've used your transferable skills. And this is really why we're here today, aren't we? To talk about transferable skills. So that's brilliant. I mean, you are literally the doyen of transferable skills. If there is such a doyen, created a doyen. Over to you, Woosh. Tell us a little bit more about your role at NCVO and why NCVO is incubating this project.
Absolutely, and thank you, Tiku, for the lovely introduction, and welcome to everyone who's listening and tuning in. And yeah, I love a LinkedIn Live. It's such a vibe when you go in for LinkedIn Live. You just, nice chat. Maya knows my style by now, so we've obviously got bringing that kind of energy and kind of different kind of perspective into the vision. So I want to start by commending Maya on this project. I think it's an incredibly to see where you've taken it, Maya, from inception or from the idea to kind of launch today is absolutely fantastic. So a huge kind of well done, and just, it's very inspiring to see where you've taken it. So big kind of really privileged to be part of that journey. My name is Woosh, and my pronouns are he, him, his. I am the Director of People, Culture and Inclusion at NCVO. I guess so. There's so many reasons why we're delighted to be incubating charity interns, and what our drivers are. But I guess I'd start with looking at my drivers first and foremost. I mean, I joined this role, and I guess the vision for my role here is to support the broader sector, with the voluntary sector and the third sector, with looking at a clear and looking at a compelling workforce development strategy that takes us through the challenges that we are currently experiencing across our sector. It was a reason I joined, because I was very passionate about looking at how we can support the workforce development piece, and looking at equity, diversity and inclusion, and specifically in our sector. So there's two reasons really why I think NCVO are incredibly are delighted to partner with and to incubate with charity interns. The first one is around sector experience and kind of cross collaborative experience. So I think I've worked, with it very briefly, sorry. I've worked across the private sector, I've worked in the public sector, and I'm currently in the voluntary sector. And I think there is an incredibly rich tapestry of skills, experiences, and talents that we don't connect to enough across our sectors. We've got such rich experiences, and actually, if there is ever a time for our sectors to collaborate so that we can actually work together to overcome some of the biggest global challenges that we see right now, it is right now. And so, being able to support and incubate a project that nurtures the third sector through the skills that people have acquired through the private sector is a really exciting prospect, and certainly one of the reasons that we have been so excited to kind of be incubating this project. And the second is around our Oh, sorry, Tiku. Sorry, you were going to say.
No. I was going to. That's brilliant, and obviously let you continue.
The second factor, I guess, is just speaking to the over 50s market, and I think looking at people who are over 50s as a specific kind of age group, because again, and I don't want to go into the diversity impact of, and Maya, you spoke about that from your own lived experience in terms of age and how that kind of potentially is a factor when people are not necessarily looking for people, looking in that kind of way. And I think charity interns turns that on its head, and I love that. And to being able to support that workforce development approach so we can engage over 50s into our sector is really, really important. And so that's kind of my second kind of factor in kind of what NCVO is incubating the project.
Amazing. And I think we must commend Maya on her sheer tenacity and grit, and just the energy that she's given to get the project to where we are now, which is just fantastic. It's months and months and months of sort of background work.
It's just for anyone who's on this call who is in the situation I was in last autumn, where you're just getting absolutely nowhere, I just keep going and have self-belief. It's really important, because you can get knocked so many times by, it becomes a good day when you get a rejection email because someone's actually recognized that you're there. And I would just say, believe in yourself and you will get there eventually.
Absolutely. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's joined us so far today. Actually, we've got people from literally all over. We've got somebody from Nigeria who's joined us. We've got somebody from Sheffield. We've got somebody from Scotland, London. We've got a sort of Claire Chapman, who's a teacher and a former media relations person. We've got somebody who's an ex-BBC producer, has spent 8 years working in charity, but now daunted by the prospect of finding, their next job, etc. John, I think you might have got what NCVO stands for. So sorry we didn't get to you in time, but thankfully everybody else in the audience has. So yeah, we've got an incredible amount of people joining us, and thank you so much. Please add any questions that you may have in the chat, in the comments, and we will try and answer those questions, as we go on. But thank you so much to Maya and Woosh, for those lovely intros. Maya, this is, I guess, your sort of platform now. Tell us more about Charity Interns, what it is we're launching, why now?
Okay. Well, I mentioned in my intro that I eventually managed to switch to the sector because someone recognized that my skills were transferable, and that my commercial experience was actually an asset, and they opened the door, and I have heard that same story from so many people who've made the move. So I've set up Charity Interns to do the same thing. It's giving people a stepping stone into the voluntary sector through paid internships. They'll run for 6 months. They're going to be paid at the real living wage. And it's an idea. So we're testing the idea. We're going to run a pilot starting in October, and we have 6 internships available. Great. For the pilot, given my background in marketing, the pilot is going to be for people with marketing skills. Okay. In the future, I hope to broaden that out, but for the pilot, we're just focusing on marketing. And you said why now?
Yeah.
The charity sector has a really serious skills shortage, to the extent that some organizations are cutting back on the work they do because they don't have the resource to deliver it. I mean, it's a really terrible situation. And I honestly believe that opening the doors to people outside the sector who want to work in those jobs is a solution. Charity Job is the biggest job board, and they publish data on who's using their website to find work, in the charity sector. 2/3 of the people searching are outside the sector, and over half of them are over the age of 50. So I'm just convinced that there's a really large group of people who can help the sector address this skills shortage.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess the next question really is, we've talked about who it's aimed at. It would be really useful to understand, some of the kind of key criteria you would be looking for.
Okay. Well, marketing skills to start with. You already have marketing skills. You have a creative mindset. You need to be a good communicator to be able to, write copy well. I mean, the basis of marketing is that you really understand your target audience and you know how to tell a very compelling story that resonates with them. But what will be different here will be the target audience. It's going to be new to you. So you might be marketing to corporate partners and developing initiatives to raise revenue, or you could be growing the volunteer base, or you could be, lobbying a government department on a point of policy. So you'll take your existing skills and adapt them, just as I sort of have adapted my skills throughout my career. And you really need to be up for that challenge of using your skills in a new way and having a flexible attitude, because something I wasn't prepared for was that the charity culture is a very different culture to the commercial world. And, you need to be able to adapt to new situations and enjoy being part of a co-generational team. There's going to be a real mix of ages, which brings huge benefits. And let's not forget, this is a pilot. So we don't know what we don't know. We're going to learn so much. And I need people who are willing to provide me with that feedback on the experience. So
absolutely,
we can document all the learning. So really having the right attitude is just as important as having the marketing skills.
Yeah. And in terms of obviously some of the detail around the actual internship, could you share a bit more about that, Maya?
Yeah, sure. So they'll start in October, run to the end of March. So they run for 6 months. I'm going to do some training at the beginning. around the charity landscape, around the culture. And then regularly, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks, all of the interns will meet together. Because I think peer-to-peer learning is very, very powerful, sort of to share our experience. And, there might be things that we're finding, fantastic things that we're finding. We're not quite sure how to work around them when we put our heads together. And the contract will be with the charity, and the intern will be on the payroll of the charity.
Yeah. Maya, I just want to bring some of the sort of questions or comments that are being made in the comments section. A lot of it is around, charity sector wages are woefully low compared to the level of work expected. Many are moving into other sectors because they cannot live on such low wage, etc., etc. Do you have anything, or Woosh as well, any kind of comments that perhaps you could make, with regards to these comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think the largest charities, actually, their salaries are far more competitive because they're in the upper quartile, and I don't think they have as much trouble filling vacancies. And I'm sure, Woosh, you can speak to this, but I imagine that salary levels is something that will be part of the area that you're working in terms of the workforce of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is an interesting one. I mean, we are, as we know, experiencing a cost of living crisis, and that's obviously indirectly and inadvertently impacting on so many people. I think given the focus of these specific internship roles, and just to make clear on an absolutely basic level, we do have a minimum criteria when it comes to salary that's advocated in the terms of business, that when we're engaging with clients or for charities that are looking to engage in this project, and it's certainly something. And to speak to Maya's points, because given the speciality of where we're focusing some of these roles at the moment, we do find that they are actually broadly more competitive and comparable when it comes to salary benchmarking. However, as you've mentioned, Maya, one of my key kind of focuses over the next through the workforce development strategy across the sector is to review our position on pay. It's difficult with third sector and voluntary sector and pay, always has been. It's a challenging kind of area because for many charities that are working in very difficult economic climates, a lot of the funding that they'll be commissioned as well will come through public sector kind of funding streams as well, which, as we know, traditionally are quite difficult to maintain. And we remain committed to working with our sector to think about how we can deliver that and how we can review that moving forward.
Brilliant. I guess really the thing that everybody will be waiting to hear about is, who are the charity
Which
partners.
charities?
Yeah.
Well, there are ones I can mention today, and I think some of the people I've been working with are on the call. I'm very grateful to them for joining the pilot. The first is at the Alzheimer's Society, who they do such amazing work bringing help and hope to those living with dementia. And then IAM Road Smart, who is they're a road safety charity. In fact, they're the largest in the UK, and campaigning and policy work is the core of their work. They lobby government. You may have seen their most recent campaign, which is about drug driving. And then the third is Age UK, household name, who support people later in life. So between the three of them, there will be 5 internships, and there will be at least one other charity, possibly 2.
Amazing. And Maya, this is a slightly different sort of way of, I guess, doing a recruitment process, in terms of the application side of things, etc. Maybe you can sort of share a little bit more about that as well.
Yes, sure. Well, we're ditching CVs.
Great.
Yay. Yeah, we're going to get rid of CVs. The opportunity is actually live now on the NCVO job page, and I think we're going to be putting a link to that in the chat. So you can download the application form there. There'll be instructions on where to send it. Instead of a CV, we're asking questions, a series of questions. Things like, what's your motivation to switch? Why now? What experience and skills are you bringing with you? And the applications are going to be open for 4 weeks. So they close on the 27th of July. and then the interviews will be mid-September for an October start. And when you get to interview stage, to support neurodiverse people, we'll be sending questions in advance.
Great.
And that's also the stage at which we'll let you know which charity you're going to meet with and more specifics of the role. So as you said, it's a very different process and you need to be comfortable with the process. But I really think that this is going to be game changing for the sector. So if you want to be part of it, then please apply.
Absolutely. So again, just for everybody to know where to apply, we will be putting a link in the chat in terms of following that link to apply. I know that a couple of people have already applied because they've said so in the chat, so which is brilliant. I think, from us, really, it's very much a big, massive thank you for joining us today and kind of spending your lunch hour or part of your lunch hour with us. You can catch the replay on Charity People's LinkedIn page, as well as our YouTube channel if you've missed the full conversation. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to the channels. If you would like to apply, obviously, for the Charity Interns program, head to this post comments, follow the link and fill in your details. If you've got any more questions about the program, please post them on our socials under the recording, and we'll answer them there. I'm just going to do a quick scan on the comments to just see if there's anything there that we can respond to. I think everybody is obviously bought into the premise of the pilot, which is great. I think there are a few people who perhaps don't have the marketing skill set, so they'll be waiting for the next sort of few once the pilot's done. But thank you again for everybody on joining us here today. We're very excited. I hope you are too. So it's a bye from me and a bye from Woosh and Maya.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.